Hello friends and welcome. I'm Sarah Liz and today I'm making 4 gifts of gratitude. I'm making teacher gifts, but every single one of these can be adapted to be not about teachers, but just about saying thank you to all our favorite people. This first card is a favorite. My friends, we're going to use the cool clipboard and I love this thing. The clipboard has a die for notebook paper, and then this is the mini notebook paper stamp. And I'm going to stamp it just onto some scrap cardstock for placement. And then I'm going to use the frame from that to get it all lined up. So I get that little margin at the top that's nice and straight and plain. And I will go ahead and stamp that. And then after that, I will do the same thing with a separate stamp that is like the little pink line that goes down the side. Here's the thing. This came out with a bunch of teacher stuff, but my engineer husband loves this thing. I gave him a clipboard notebook paper card a while back and he was like, where did you get this? And it's got all these really great like pens and pencils and cool things in it. I just love it. And if you use the method I just showed you where you use like the reverse of the die cut, you can stamp a whole bunch of them without having to line everything up over and over and over again. I think I have like 30 pieces of this notebook paper at this point. This clipboard is really easy to assemble. So I added my notebook paper and then I'm going to add that top clip piece that I cut out of some matte silver cardstock. And then to make this a card, I have a piece in white that I'm putting in my scoreboard and I'm going to score it 3/4 of an inch. I need at least 1/4 inch to really glue everything together for me to feel like confident that it's not going to fall apart. I added too much glue on the top, no worries. I just tap it off on the back of my hand. I line it up at the bottom first with that top piece folded back, and then I can press it all together and I have this adorable mini card. Then I'm going to use the big thanks cut and foil. So it will cut the thanks in the shadow, but you could, instead of the thanks, hot foil it and use the shadow, which I think is brilliant. It's so good. I'm stacking mine up, but here's the thing. A lot of times when I need like a thank you something, I don't have that much time, and so I won't stack it up. But in this video, my goal is to show you all the ways that you could step this up, make it extra special, and then also to point out to you where I would cut corners if I'm like, I need something in 5 minutes. Okay, so if you've got 5 minutes, don't stack it up. What I love is that there's lots of big pieces here. And so if you did stack it, it's really, really easy to add your glue and it's not going to go all over everywhere. Next, I'm assembling the mini heart swirl. I'm not stacking this one up, just the greeting. And then this, we're going 1 layer of each. And honestly, think about it. Like the thanks is not a teacher thing. The heart is not a teacher thing. The clipboard, there are some pieces in there like the A+ that make it look like a teacher thing, but so much of it is really versatile. So I have an A2 envelope. If I want this to fit in an envelope, this matters. And I'm trying to figure out how to make this fit. If you tilt the clipboard and tilt the thanks, you can make this fit at an angle. A lot of my cards don't have envelopes. They're hand delivered, and so that wouldn't matter. But if it does, get your envelope out and make sure it fits. I wanted to make sure it fit just to show you how. And so I have put this onto my grid mat and then I'm laying down a sticky mat and I'm marking the edges of the clipboard so I know where to put my glue. I'm just picking up the thanks, not the clipboard. I will leave that board in the background on my grid mat. And then I can lay my sticky mat right back down into the same corner. I have glue only in the middle. And I'm good to go. And I don't have mucky glue showing up on the back. I wanted the heart swirl only on the notebook paper. So I brought in that second piece that I stamped. I laid it over the top and kind of held everything together at the same time. And then I can clip off around the edges. I suppose I could have done that before I glued it to the clipboard, but I wasn't sure where the thanks would be. So this worked better for me. If you have a better idea, please let me know in the comments, like how would you line this up? And then I love that it just fills in that space right below the thanks. I'm adding a couple of gems. I could stamp something above the thanks, but I didn't feel like it really needed it. I have this adorable mini card, small space to write. I don't have to be verbose. It's nothing magical. Just a thank you. Just a I see you and I appreciate you. For the second card, we're going to use the coffee mug die that also has that little piece on the inside that's perfect for holding a gift card. And then I'm also going to use this thank you apple, my friends. It's so good. And then we're going to use the Simply Sentimental teacher dies and then later the stamps. I cut the teacher letters out of black cardstock with some rip and stick sheet behind them so they become like stickers. But to get them lined up on the shadow, I cut the shadow and the letters out of a single piece of white cardstock, and I'm going to temporarily tape that on top of my shadow so I know where to put everything. Then I can very carefully peel the letters up. There are some delicate pieces. Please be careful. I learned this the hard way. And I can lay them right inside of that shadow, and I know that everything is perfectly spaced. This is going to have an apple, and it's going to say teacher, but this mug, the mug is so brilliant, my friends. There are so many ways to dress this up. You could turn it into a dad mug for Father's Day or a mom mug for Mother's Day. You could turn this into a nerd mug for your nerd's birthday, which I shall do. I shall definitely do. So on my apple, the thank you is connected to that white outline. I actually only want the outline on this one. I am terrible at eyeballing fussy cutting. I'm trying to remove the thank you. So I went along with my pencil and just made a mark on both sides. I marked both sides to figure out where I wanted to cut, because I want to make sure I have as much room for my scissors and my hand as possible to make sure I have control over where I'm cutting. But honestly, I think this took me like 3 or 4 minutes, and now I have this great outline. I have another set of cards I made a while back, I think in August when this first came out, and I did the opposite. I cut off the outline and used just the thank you. Like, I'm happy to use it as the whole thank you apple. But friends, I just want to see how many ways we can use this thing, how many looks we can get out of it. That's my happy place. So when I cut the whole thing out of white, I saved the leaf and the stem, and then I just used my alcohol markers to color those in. So there's a score line down the middle of the mug, and I like to fold it slightly the wrong way and then fold it the way it's intended, just to make sure I don't end up with a wonky fold. And then here's the middle piece that holds that gift card. You could skip this. If you're like, girl, I'm not giving out money. I just want to say thank you. Great. Totally great. I'm going to put glue everywhere except behind those half moons. And then that will leave them free to hold a gift card. Right there it is. I can open and close it. It will stay put. I love that. I decided, because it's a video, that I'm going to go ahead and step this up. I'm going to ink blend along one side, and then I'm going to mask off the handle, and I'm going to ink blend on the other side. You guys, if I'm honest, that is only happening if I have lots of advanced notice, and it's someone I really love. So my kids are catapulting towards the end of the school year, and teacher cards, that's a situation for this. Cool, cool. So I ink blended on one side, masked off the handle, ink blended on the other. Then I masked off the edge, and I will ink blend from the middle and bottom just to add a little extra dimension. I do think it's worth it if you have time, but if you don't, I'm covering up most of this mug. Skip it. It's gonna be fine. I have a little coffee at the top. I suppose you could make that tea or something else. And then I'm going to add my little apple. This does overhang ever so slightly, so I'm being careful not to add glue on the very, very edges. Then I have my teacher die, but I want to add in a sub-sentiment or a pre-sentiment. I don't know what to call that, friends, to go with it. So I'm going to pick you're an A+ teacher. Here's the thing. Trinity's sentiments often come as these Simply Sentimental sets. So there is a stamp set, and you could just stamp the exact same teacher using the same font. And then you could use the die set to cut out the shadow, or you can die cut the whole teacher situation, or mom, or hope, or birthday, or any one of a bunch of different options. I think it's so smart. It's so, so smart. So I got real brave in that embossing. I should have heat embossed this long before I added it to the mug, but it turned out, and it was a standard embossing. I just brushed off any powder that was sticking to wet ink on the mug. And then I have taped my mug to an A2 envelope as far to the handle as I can. I made sure that the teacher fit inside the envelope, even though it's not quite centered. No one can tell, I promise. And then I will pick it up with my sticky mat and lay it right back down in the bottom left-hand corner. And that's my teacher mug. And I know I can put this in an envelope if I need to. And I love that. Next, we're making 2 treat containers. Mine are teacher themed, but minor changes will make them for anyone. So this is the Lots of Dots stencils. There are 4 stencils and they don't layer. They're independent dot stencils. This is the biggest one. And I am laying this over top of the pillow gift box. I love this thing. It's so quick and easy. So I actually picked my darkest ink and I'm just using a light hand and I'm going gently over everything. The darker ink makes it quicker, but it does mean you have to be a little bit careful. I did wipe off the excess ink from my stencil, and then I'm using some white shimmer ink over the top of that as well. This is hard to pick up on camera, but there is a sheen on it that wasn't there before, and I think it's gorgeous. I am going to fold all of my score lines. So the first 2 are really easy, but then these with the curve, I like to stick my thumbnail in there and just fold it ever so slightly the wrong way just to get the placement. And then I will fold it towards the inside of the box, okay? Doing that makes it pretty easy. I cut these with my Platinum 6. It worked beautifully. To close the box, I have 2 layers of double-sided tape on that flap. They have to overlap ever so slightly. So I peeled off the first one and put on the second one. I'll fold the flap and then I'll fold the other flap right onto it. You want to fold this so it closes flat. But then I got a little aggressive. I don't know if you saw that. I cracked the back of it. Okay, we're gonna hide that. It's gonna be fine. No teacher I give this to is gonna notice or care, but just a heads up, be gentle. Then this coffee cup is in that same die set. You guys, I love this thing. You can make a whole bunch of them. You can store them flat. You see that? It's just laying flat on my table. It isn't until you go to fold up the ends that it takes up any space. You could have a dozen of these just sitting around waiting for like, hey, somebody needs a couple of candy bars. Somebody needs a gift card. They will all fit in there, and I love it. On the sleeve of my coffee mug, I have placed my A+. That's from the cool Clipboard, and then stamped the You Rock that comes from that teacher set. But if you weren't giving it to a teacher, just change what you put on there. Put the heart on there. That would be fine. You don't have to do that separate. I'm going to do a belly band, a couple of circles with the heart, and then I'm going to have this coffee mug. Put whatever you want on the coffee mug or nothing on the coffee mug. It doesn't really matter. So then I have cut using the modern embossed circles, a gold circle that's about 2 inches and a white shimmer cardstock circle that's about 1 3/4 of an inch. For the belly band, I have that same white shimmer cardstock in 1 1/2 inches. It folds very easily because it's 65 pound. Honestly, I wish I had used at least 80 pound, but I didn't have anything shiny, so I didn't. I trimmed that off once I sort of eyeballed where I wanted it, and I'll glue that together. When I go to add the circles, I'm only adding foam right down the middle because when you go to sort of squeeze this together, it needs to be able to pop up. And I didn't want to make all of that cardstock bend. I used some black and white twine to add a bow to my coffee mug, and then I'm going to add it with minimal glue to my belly band, right? If you use a good glue, that's fine. To add my treats, I'll move my belly band down a little bit so I can squeeze easily at the top. I can fit a full gift card and a couple of mini treats, like a Kit Kat, a thin something. Then I'm going to push down the side with that little finger tab, right? That makes it easy to remove. Make sure you push it down all the way below the score line, and you have a really easy pillow gift card box. I love this thing. It's so easy. And then this, my friends, this looks fancy, but it's not that hard. I am using the basic Trinity Treat Box, but there is an add-on to make this a shaker box. There are also add-ons for Halloween and for a gingerbread house and all kinds of stuff, but we're going to keep it really simple today. I used a little piece of stencil material to mask off the bottom of my treat box. You don't have to. I just didn't want to ink blend that much, you guys. I'm in a hurry. To add another layer of texture, I'm using another stencil from that Lots of Dots pack. I have this one that starts with larger dots on the side and gets to smaller dots in the middle, and I'm just taking some white pigment ink over the top, and I tried not to be super perfect, right? I want that to just fade out in some places. To decorate this box, I'm actually getting way fancier than I meant to. So I have this Thanks a Watt die set, and I'm going to ink blend at the bottom of some pale yellow cardstock, because I'm going to cut out the bulb piece, the yellow part of the bulb, and I want it to be extra shiny. I went over it with some shimmer pen too, and then I'm going to use my heat tool to make sure everything is really, really dry, because I am going to use the redneck method of making a shiny surface. I'm going to put some backing tape over the top. I want it to look like a light bulb, my friends. Again, you could skip all of that. You could just cut this out of yellow cardstock if you were in a hurry. And I think this light bulb lends itself to lots of situations, not just teachers. You can see the shine there. It's really like there's glass or plastic or something that is reflecting all of that light. So I have the larger bulb cut out of black cardstock, and I'm going to add that frame on there. There are actually 4 separate bulb dies, so you can create lots of levels of frames, shakers. There's tons of inspiration on the Trinity YouTube channel, but I just stole some googly eyes from my kids. And then I'm using the layered mug cat and dog add-on. It's part of this very cute mug series that I love a lot. It's so cute. And I think that that's an eyebrow, right? If I were just putting this straight onto cardstock, easy peasy. Just draw that on with a pen, a little scoop of a mouth. But I decided to put tape on there, and then it was shiny, and I don't trust myself to draw to save my soul. I'm a good crafter. I'm not an artist. Because I'm making a teacher card, I'm going to add a pencil from that cool clipboard and the A+ from that cool clipboard. But if it's not a teacher card, add something else. Add a heart or some florals or whatever you have, right? There's all kinds of things that can go in the space on the left of that box that could be adapted for almost anyone. I just think this little light bulb is super nerdy. So it also works beautifully for my nerdy husband and all our nerdy friends. This is the What's Up stamp set. I can't even say that with a straight face. And I'm going to stamp this as far towards the top of the box as I can, just to make sure it's easier to see. But honestly, we're always looking down at the table to wherever it's sitting. So I'm not super worried about putting something above that. I have 2 of these pieces. So I'm going to mount and fold everything. And I've added rip and stick tape 1/4 inch to that short flap, and then the little stubby flap that's on the bottom. I like to line this up on my grid mat so that I know everything is straight, but honestly, you could probably eyeball that. I'm just laying one large piece onto the short flap right up against the score line. To tape the box closed, I pick one of the middle score lines and fold it in so that I can fold the whole thing flat on itself, and I know that the box will square up when I open it back up. So I removed all of the release paper from those stubby flaps, and I'll fold them in and do my best to line up those longer flaps. And then I'll flip the whole thing over, and I just stick my hand in there. You could use a bone folder or whatever you're comfortable with, and the whole thing is stuck shut. Then to close the box completely, I squeeze together those little like ears on the side and stick them inside of the open tab. Then I can decorate. I kind of eyeballed where I knew the glue needed to go on that light bulb, and I'll add him slightly hanging off the side and as far to the bottom as I can, but I'm making sure he's not going to overhang the bottom because then you're going to have a wonky box. And then I have my A+ and my pencil. Again, it's a teacher box, but it doesn't have to be. If you have a heart, if you have a coffee cup from that pill box, anything that you might say, I see you, I know what you like, to the person you're giving this to. This could be an image that you stamped and colored and then die cut out. Whatever fits here. This is the only piece that says I'm a teacher box. And that sort of finishes it. I want to show you how much you can fit in here though. I'm going to add a gift card. It will fit standing up. It also fits flat on the bottom, which was sort of an accident. I know who I'm giving this to, and she loves Starburst. I fit 12 of those 2-pack Starbursts in there, and I probably could have stuffed a few more in. And certainly you could fit some larger treats if they are not Starburst fans, and I love that. I would love to know which of these 4 projects is your favorite, which one you think you might try. I love die sets that I can get a ton of use out of and apply to a lot of situations. And I think that's what we have here. So I hope you found this inspirational. I hope you'll give these a try. Thank you so much for spending your time with me, and I will see you next time.